schools and colleges in England are set to receive thousands of pounds for upgrades in order to save energy in the future.
But some school leaders say the measure falls short as the cost of energy bills right now is hitting budgets for children's education. Joining us now is Schools Minister Nick Gibb. Minister, the price of energy, to say the very least, is going up. I'm going to ask you a very basic question, too, before we come on to something that's really obviously troubling parents up and down the country with Strep. Can you guarantee that no school is going to suffer, no child is going to lose out on the curriculum? That includes the whole buffet of things from maths and English to music to the lot, because they have to dig deep into their pockets to pay for energy?
Well, what we had over in the autumn statement was a very, very good settlement for schools, an extra £2 billion this year and next year, on top of the £1.5 billion that had already been announced for those years. And this year, they had a £4 billion increase. So over the 2 years, that's a 15% increase in school funding. So this is a government that is absolutely committed to making sure that schools are properly funded, so there won't be any necessity to cut the curriculum for teachers. We are driven by making sure that every local school is a good school. That's really the major emphasis of the Prime Minister and the Chancellor, as well as the Education Ministers.
But Minister, school leaders are already saying they're going to have to dip into their budgets because the price is going up and because there isn't a cap on it and because, as you know, on an ongoing energy crisis, a budget has to come from somewhere, and it comes from schools. So that's not a clear guarantee. Parents up and down the country are going to be troubled by that. It's your first problem. The other economic issue you'll be aware of, I spoke to the head of a schools trust today, and this is agreed and published research. 1 in 10 classroom teachers in the UK, that's not a country outside of here, right? 1 in 10 classroom teachers in the UK have to take a second job. Is that something that you're proud of?
Look, on the energy issue, we still have the energy bill relief scheme that will cover energy costs over this winter. And then, as I said, we're announcing £500 million today of capital for schools so that they can put in place very rapidly measures to reduce their energy consumption, better lighting, LED lighting, thermostat control, lagging of pipes. And that money will be going to schools this month so they can put those measures in place. But this winter, of course, we're covered by the energy bill relief scheme.
I'm sorry, we don't have as much time as I'd like, but I'm certain I just asked you about teacher retention, about 1 in 10 teachers having to take a second job, about the fact that support staff in classrooms, right, can't be paid for. Many of them get paid more in supermarkets. That's not just what we're hearing, that's what the research said. Now, as the person in response, the person who's responsible for this, is that something you're proud of? What are you going to do about it?
The average salary of a classroom teacher is £39,000. The Independent School Teachers Review Body awarded a 5% increase for this September to teachers, 8.9% increase for new teachers coming into the profession. We do want a properly rewarded profession. That's how you continue to raise standards in our schools. And I do understand the financial pressures that many families are under due to inflation, due to the high price of energy. And that's why we did take a number of measures in the autumn statement to help households through that crisis. And now we have the 5% pay increase for teachers and this very, very good settlement
So
in the
Minister,
autumn
what's
statement.
your message to the Union of Head Teachers who don't want to strike? Teachers want to teach. Head teachers want to lead. They're there on a mission, right? They do it for the love. You know, you speak to them, I've got many of them in my family. What's your message to them? Why are they going on strike if it's all as hunky-dory as you're describing? Well,
I don't think they should go on strike. They haven't decided to go on strike at this point. The settlement, the unions wrote to us and they asked for £2 billion extra funding for schools because they were worried about school funding as well as pay. We have delivered that extra £2 billion of school funding on top of what was already allocated to schools for next year and the year after in the autumn statement. So we had a very good settlement in the autumn statement because this is a government that absolutely is prioritising education. It's the key to people's development, young people's development, and it's the key to growth in the economy. So we are delivering the funding that has been demanded of us by the union. So there's no reason why they should go on strike. And I think it's the wrong way anyway to negotiate a pay settlement because it just disrupts children's education, and they have been through enough during the COVID crisis, and we don't want their education disrupted anymore. So we are always keen to, I meet the unions very regularly, always keen to talk and discuss these issues. But we do have an independent pay review body system, and as I said, they did award a 5% pay increase across the board to teachers this September.
And as we know, the argument is, of course, if you've got inflation at 11%, that effectively equates to a pay cut. So we know that unions are balancing on that. But I want to talk, in the time that we've got left, just about this issue about Strep A right now, because it is, I mean, it's a matter of life and death. We've seen, you know, 8 children have died, and there are parents saying, should I take my child out of school because I can't bear the risk? We are inundated by people saying that they can't get appointments, that they're ringing 111, they don't know what to do, are there enough antibiotics? What can you tell parents of children this morning?
It's a tragedy for those families of those 8 children that have died, and you can only imagine the grief that they're going through at the moment. It is a rare condition, and the UK Health and Security Agency are working very closely with the schools involved and advising the parents of those schools. And their advice generally to parents is to look out for the symptoms, which is a high fever, sore throat, and a red or raised rash on the skin. And if those symptoms do develop, to dial 111, to go see your GP, or in an emergency, if it's very severe, and parents do know their children best, to go to A&E. But, you know, we are monitoring this position very carefully, and the UK Health and Security Agency will be having more to say about these issues very shortly.
All right. Nick Gibb, Minister for Schools,